All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, today, James Harden got his wish as he is now a member of the Brooklyn Nets. The Nets received Harden in a 4-team deal that saw the Indiana Pacers receive Caris LeVert and a second-round pick, while the Rockets are getting Victor Oladipo, Dante Exum, 3 first-round picks from the Nets, 1 from the Milwaukee Bucks, Rodion Kurucs, and one of those picks from the Nets, the Rockets are actually going to swap with them in the first round. And the 4th team in this mix, the Cleveland Cavaliers, will be receiving Jared Allen and Taurean Prince. Now, this deal had to be made. I really thought that it should have been made before the season began, and it was quite clear that Harden no longer wanted to be in Houston. I mean, first and foremost, look, he came into this season very out of shape. I think the last straw came last night with the Rockets loss to the Lakers, and he basically threw the entire organization under the bus. We heard, a lot of rebuttals from the likes of both John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins. And then today, the Rockets just told James Harden to stay away. So, it became evident that they could no longer go forward with one another. This relationship was fractured beyond repair. And for all parties involved, it was time for the divorce. Now, you look at it, and to me, I don't think it was a bad haul for the Rockets or Pacers. I look for the Rockets standpoint now. You're clearly going to be going forward with John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins as your 2 best players and try to see if you could put something around them. Also, they got Victor Oladipo, who is a nice player to be in the mix with both Cousins and Wall. So it's going to be interesting to see how the 3 of them are able to blend together. And most importantly, the Rockets wanted picks and they got the picks. So, it's a lot of things that you could do with those picks going forward in the respective NBA drafts. And I mean, again, we've seen it in the past where the Nets have given up picks and it doesn't work out. Just look at the Boston Celtics and how, they've become a contender based off of what they received from the Brooklyn Nets via trades. You look at the Indiana Pacers, and I think Caris LeVert is now going to have an opportunity to play more and get more opportunities to score. We saw him, coming into his own with the Nets, and now he's going to have his chance to shine for a Pacers team that still has, designs on making the playoffs this season. Looking at the Nets, the first thing you have to ask yourself is, how is this going to work with Harden, Durant, and Kyrie Irving? And I talked about it a couple of months ago when it first came up that, James Harden wanted to play in Brooklyn. I mean, you look at it just like the title of this podcast, 3 stars but 1 basketball. So how is this going to work? And, you look at all 3 of them. First and foremost with Kyrie. Kyrie was not happy being the second fiddle to LeBron in Cleveland. And he already, he's been away from the team. He hasn't been playing. He really wasn't a fan of the team bringing in Steve Nash as their head coach. I don't see how it's going to work. I mean, you look at it, you have 3 alphas, 3 guys that need the ball in their hands to be successful, 3 guys that cannot play without the ball. Somebody has to sacrifice their game. And I don't see, of this 3, I don't see anybody raising their hand, walking to the front of the class and saying, you know what? I will sacrifice my game for the greater good of the team. That's not going to work. This is going to be very interesting for the Nets because now you're going to have to ask Harden to try to get into shape during the season, which is going to be very difficult because you can see that he is clearly overweight. You look at it, Durant is coming back from an injury and he looks very good. And now you have to deal with everything that's going on with Kyrie Irving. I don't see Steve Nash as being a first-time head coach, being the guy to try to, take care of this. And I know that Mike D'Antoni is one of his assistant coaches, but at the end of the day, you can already see that Kyrie and Kevin Durant don't respect Steve Nash. So I don't think anything is going to change with James Harden in that mix as well. As honestly, I think it could get worse. So I look at it right now. You have stars who don't respect the first-year head coach. You have 3 players who need the ball in their hands to be effective. You have 3 players that are not going to take a back step, and you have 3 players that want to be the star. How is this going to work? I really don't know because, I mean, you look at it. How is this pecking order going to work? Is KD going to be the first guy? Is James Harden going to be the first guy? Is Kyrie going to be the first guy? Who is going to step back and sacrifice their game? On paper, a lot of people are saying, well, the Nets' chances to win the NBA championship just increased. I don't see it because first and foremost, this team needs time to gel. I don't see it happening this season, especially in a shortened season. On top of that, I don't see the inner workings for everybody involved in this deal to go out there and make it happen. Great players don't win championships. Great teams win championships. The Nets have great individual players, but they have to find a way collectively to come together as a team. And I don't think that the law firm of Durant, Irving, and Harden have what it takes mentally to get that done. So this looks good on paper. The Nets will be a playoff team. I still don't like their chances to come out of the Eastern Conference. I still say, it's going to come down to the likes of teams such as the Philadelphia 76ers, the Milwaukee Bucks, possibly Boston Celtics and Miami Heat. Though, the Nets, they're in that mix, don't get me wrong, but I just don't see it happening with this team. Kyrie Irving has already started with his issues, and I think this is just, the tip of the iceberg for Kyrie. I think more is coming down the line, especially now that James Harden's going to be there. How is James Harden going to adapt with playing with Kyrie? We'll have to wait and see. And who is going to be able to get these three stars all on the same page? The Nets don't have the personnel on their coaching staff nor the front office to get it done. So on paper, this looks good for the Nets, but at the end of the day, this is something where, it's a put up or shut up trade. And I don't see the Nets having the ability to put up and live up to the expectations of this trade, while the Houston Rockets, they made off like bandits as far as I'm concerned. And I think I could say the same for the Indiana Pacers. The Nets simply don't learn. They're trying to buy a championship once again. It didn't work several years ago. It's not going to work now. It looks good on paper. There are going to be people who are hyped up about this trade, but I myself am not one of them. So folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning in to the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to thank all of the subscribers out there. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. Take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.